Ano-chan's first album, her debut, has come out. It's so hard to think of it as a debut considering that she's had songs been coming out since 2020, and obviously she's had a career before with her idol group, You'll Melt More. She's had her punk band, Eyes. She's had all these things going on. So it's so hard to think of this being her debut album, and yet wow, it has been big news here in Japan. She's been on TV spots every 5 seconds. I went to check out the album when it came out, actually a day after it came out, and it was sold out. The shelves were empty. This is a big deal, and I'm genuinely excited. But I'm glad to say that as the album came out, we got one more single. I was there for the premiere, it's been a couple of days, and so now I want to talk about it and tell you why the only thing that's been in my head for the last few days has been na 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 na. Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where first of all let's get a bit of context before we jump into this, because I haven't talked about Ano as much on this channel as maybe I'd have expected, because I was kind of a little bit late getting into it. I'd heard of her over the last few years, occasionally picked up on one song here and there and thought that was really good, but never sort of connected the dots. And then sort of earlier this year, earlier in 2023, I started to really pay attention to her music more and more and more. I think ironically the performance on The First Take was one of the things where I went, wow, I actually really like this. And so I had started to discover her music. I talked a little bit about it on Ears to the East. This has probably hit me harder than anything I've listened to in a good 10 years. With a single before this that I just found incredibly powerful and really beautifully done. And then before that, I talked about Smile Like an Eye. So far, I just kind of get a good feeling this is the kind of person you want to be a pop star. That was, of course, on this channel. And prior to that as well, I'd also been talking about F Wonderful World, which is a song that had come to my mind. I just... You know, it was one that I had to put forward when we did another one of those competitions on Ears to the East. It feels much more like hard-hitting than any song that's trying to shout at you. And I just like that. It's like, it's got a bit of swag, it's got a bit of fun, but you're actually like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this. So slowly, as if by commercial design, my fandom had come together. I've been watching a load of Ano stuff online. Yeah, I've got to be honest, I've become quite a fan. And a lot of what makes Ano so fantastic and is important moving into this song is variation, but also personality. We talked a lot on this channel, talking about various artists, about personality. See, the character that I guess you could say Ano's playing on is really inhabiting that she is. There's this kind of everyman character, you know, she's very relatable, she's quiet, she's introverted, but she comes out with these explosions of inner personality. You know, she really lets out what she actually feels through creativity, whether it be suddenly bursting into screaming and running around, or whatever it is, she knows how to sort of show that difference between how you feel on the outside when it sometimes is quite quiet, and how you feel on the inside when it's sometimes quite a lot of rage. And this is not always done in a stereotypical way. I mean, as I mentioned with the single before this one, there was a real sense that it was a lot about sort of pain, but about recovering from pain, getting better. I mentioned with F Wonderful World that was a song, it's F the world, isn't it? It's kind of pretty much there. She's had songs that have been very much about sort of more the frivolous nature of relationships. You know, I mean, there is a feeling that she is exploring different areas of this, and of course she does, I believe, all of her own lyric work, but if not, then most of it. So she's really sort of translating her own messages, and the writers involved in doing her songs, the writing is fantastic. It's super varied, as I mentioned with all these songs previously. So I think with all of these artists, the best ones, there is a feeling that what you're seeing is perhaps their real personality, but turned up to 11. So there's a presentational factor, but it also is genuinely an interpretation of who they really are. And this is what makes her so likable, is I think a lot of people can relate to her. Whether you be a very different person or not, I think we all have a feeling of a similarity to that. So how does this new song fit in? Well, realistically, it's designed to fit into two places. I mean, first of all, is as the first proper song rather than the intro on the album, and second of all is obviously as a single in her line of singles that have come out. And I think it works brilliantly in both of those settings. First of all, this is a big, bombastic, crazy song. It goes through so many changes. It has the bizarre orchestral bit. It has the breakdown where it goes through. I thought it was really brave how long it goes into that quiet, ethereal bit in the middle where everything's spaced out. I mean, that's the sort of thing where a lot of writers would be hitting the panic button and going, oh, okay, we've been doing this for 3-4 bars. Let's quickly go back to the chorus again. So that just stays in that quiet area for ages and builds up the sort of coils back the spring and builds up the energy to burst into the end of the song. The fact that the end chorus then goes round to like a final refrain, and there's so many things going on. The crescendo at the end is just one of a whole myriad of clever ideas in this song. It's really bursting with ideas. It flows beautifully. It is capturing all of the bombastic, over-the-top nature of Anna. This is definitely going into that direction. It is bright, colourful madness. And that's kind of nice, because with a lot of her other songs, they are more sticking to, they cement an idea, an emotion, and they go with that. I mean, F Wonderful World, it's kind of got a slight aggression to it, but it's cheeky and it stays within a certain lane throughout. The most recent single, I'm avoiding saying the name because I've forgotten what the actual name is. I'm really bad with names, but that has a certain mood, a sort of a bouncy J-pop song, but with a lot of heart, and it sticks to that throughout. Most of her songs do stick to a certain tone throughout, from start to end. Whereas this is probably the most, if you like, breaking of the rules kind of song. This is the one where within its own runtime, from start to finish of the one song, it goes through the most things. It goes through the most variation. It goes to the most different places. And yeah, I just have a lot of respect for the fact that that's what's been put front and center at the album, but also as seemingly the last single to be released from this album. It really does feel like something that is there as a kind of a real statement of, okay, you've heard the variation that Anna has in her songs. Here's kind of us trying to put all of it into one song. It's like a big bombastic seal to stamp on the album. And I love that. I think that's a really good approach. I'm not going to break down every single aspect of the writing because there is so much into the song. I would say go through and just listen to it and just enjoy it. Again, this is one of the things about songs like this, is that they can stand up to very, very, very many repeat plays. I mean, I like the song Peekaboo, one of her earlier ones, but that song does not stand up to quite as many replays because, again, it's one thing from start to end. It's one thing very clearly. This song, you can repeat play it, and it's just like a cornucopia of little ideas and sounds for your ears. Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth checking out just for the sheer amount that's been put into it and how well it flows. And the fact that, again, for a song with so much variation, it doesn't just meander around and stop. It feels like it builds up to a crescendo. It brings you in with that catchy na 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 na, all that stuff. Brings you in with that catchiness, gives you a decent chorus, gives you a breakdown where you feel like, where are we going? And then rockets into an ending that has multiple layers and gives you a fantastic crescendo to top it all off. And of course, I couldn't talk about this song without quickly mentioning the music video as well. Music video is absolutely nuts. As always, I'm showing little clips here that you've been looking at throughout this as well. It is berserk, and I adore it. It's pretty much is a good manifestation of everything we said about the song, which is really what a music video should be, in that it is over the top, it goes through a bunch of different things, but it feels like it's bright and full of ideas. It feels like a non-stop barrage of things, but at the same time, things that work. You know, there's a real feel of flow. As much as the madness is hitting the screen, it's very easy to follow. Your eye never feels like, you never feel like overwhelmed by the things happening on the screen because it's very easy to follow what's happening. And that gives it a sense of joy. It is a joyful video. It's just berserk fun. And it's a great vehicle for Anna's personality. She looks like she's having a ton of fun in it as well. I love the appearance of the puking kitty and its whole orchestra. How it plays flute without puking, I do not know. It's just really, really very fun, very likable. And again, this is a nice cherry on top, a nice seal to put on the front of the album, which we were already excited for. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this video. I watched it a lot. Usually I watch the video a few times and then I just sort of relax, listen to the song. This one I've been enjoying the video a lot of times as well, just because how can you not be excited by how crazy it is? So it's time to bring this all into a conclusion, because this has been a little bit of a rambling journey of a review. Now, I can't deny I've become quite a bit of an Ano-chan fan, really enjoying her music, really loving her stuff. I do think, though, that this is a great single. I think this is the quintessential example of what I really want to see from J-pop. And this is one of the reasons why I've become a fan of hers. But yes, I like the individual songs for individual reasons, but I think this is the sort of song that has a sort of viral quality. It feels like when Pom 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 came out by Carrie Pammy Pammy back in the day. It has that sort of viral quality, but it's backed up with, for me, what J-pop is about. It's bright, it's colourful, and it's fun, but it's not stupid and it's not disposable. It's crazily addictive, and yet it has a bunch of songwriting ideas. It doesn't skip out on the creativity to rush you through to a catchy chorus. If anything, the catchy chorus is there just to pin down all of the craziness and all the mad twists and turns that the song feels like it's actually more invested in spending time on. It is absolutely full of joy. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you like pop, then to me, this is what pop should be. I said this actually about Smile Like an Eye. I was like saying at the time, that was I think that was the first song I gave a proper full review of hers. And I just said, this is what I think pop should be. Well, that pales by comparison to this. I mean, that's a good song, but this really is. I think this is almost like, one of the apexes, one of the high marks of what pop should be, Japanese pop especially. I hope I've conveyed all the reasons. I feel like I could sit and ramble about this all day, but that's probably going to get boring, and this is already going on for a quarter of an hour from what I can see on the timer. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Love to see what you guys think in the comments. I will be considering, we're going to be doing some album reviews, hopefully on the channel next year. That's 2024. That's one of the big goals for 2024. So hopefully I'll be able to do a review of this album because I got a lot to say about the album. Tell me if you're interested in that. If there's a lot of interest in this video and in the subject of me doing that album review, then I definitely will do a review of Ano's debut album. But wow, what a song. What a pleasure. I hope, if you haven't already heard it, go check it out. I hope I've sold you on it in my ramble. Absolutely brilliant. There you go. And until I hopefully see you very soon in the next one of these videos. Well, for now, ciao, ciao.